And here we are. Good afternoon, and welcome to Virtual Collage Jam for Monday, November 1st. It's the first day of it's how did that even happen?
We made it.
Yeah, we made it, or oh my god, or all of the above, right? I just can't believe that we're here already. So welcome aboard, everyone. At least in Brampton, it's a nice sunny day, so I hope it is where you are too. Hopefully not so sunny that you don't want to spend some time collaging with us, although I will completely understand. And when I say us, I mean I'm joined by the lovely and talented Kim Lee Ko, who is, we have a little microphone issue this week. We went to plug in our usual microphone and it like, so
apologies for the lower quality audio, and I will be speaking up so that hopefully you can hear me reasonably.
Yeah, because we're just using the built-in microphone, which is great. It's great that we have that as a backup, but we don't have our pro microphone set up. So we apologize for sound quality issues. We at least have our good camera. So, and before I dive into some collaging, I have a couple of things to tell you guys about. Little heads up. I got an email from Collage Magazine. I'm on their list and I subscribed recently. And I got an email saying in the upcoming issue, and it mentioned Cherie's article about our virtual collage jam. So it's so exciting to see that. I quickly sent it off to her and said, Cherie, it's coming. So watch your mailbox if you're a subscriber to Collage Magazine. I will maybe I'll forward everyone on the Collage Jam list that email, because it's kind of fun to see that we're going to be mentioned. So yeah, so that's thing one. Thing two is, sometimes I have a little log jam in my head. I'm sure you guys can understand. Save the date, Monday, November 29th. So 2 collage jams away. I am going to be doing it. Kim and I are going to be doing it live at the Gladstone, which we're so excited to be doing. Lee Petrie, the curator there, has agreed to give us a little tour of the Gladstone. So I'll wander around with either an iPad or some kind of a camera and have her give us a little tour of some of the wonderful renovations there. And then there's going to be limited space, I think 12 space for 12 people to collage live. But I have to figure out all of that stuff. So I will send out an email about that. And there will also be more details on is 2 weeks, is the 15th or 14th. Anyway, our mid
plus 14 equals 15.
Right. So yeah, more details on the Collage Jam on the 15th and by email. So all kinds of excitement afoot in Virtual Collage Jam land. And today we're collage jamming on left and rights, or lefts and rights, and let's see how that goes.
Jane asks, will the Gladstone event be at the usual time of 2 p.m.?
It will be. It will be Monday at 2 p.m., just like it always is. And for those of you who can make it and join me in person, it will be there, but you can also just join me live on the stream. So
yeah, we'll still be streaming.
Well, yeah, we'll be streaming as usual, but from a different location. So,
and there's an opportunity, because the Gladstone has a bistro, to have lunch at the Gladstone ahead of
make a nice day of it. Like go and have lunch there,
Collage Jam,
and then come down. They're going to be having workshops and classes at the Gladstone. And so this is a way for them to sort of, I had approached Lee earlier in the year saying, would you be open to this? And she said, yeah, absolutely. So she got back to me and said it'd be a great way to sort of test their studio setup. So yeah, so we're so excited to have that opportunity. Thank you, Lee.
Yes.
Yeah. So, is there anything else that you want to say, Kim? Off the top of your head.
Goodness.
I didn't mean to put you on the spot. I'm going to babble a little bit about left and rights. And then if you have anything to say, you can just hop in.
I'm just trying to type into the chat a little bit.
So okay, let me finish that, yeah, exactly. I shouldn't have put you on the spot. So I'm sure you guys have a whole bunch of different ideas about lefts and rights, and I like to choose themes, come up with themes if I can, that have different ways you can spin them. And I was thinking lefts and rights. It could be like political, it could be dance, it could be like, I don't know if you're like me, but I can't tell which hand it is. Like there's a scene in the original Matrix where someone's running through a building and being navigated by someone in headphones, and he's left, no, your other left. And I thought, oh, that's me. Because Kim is always like trying to tell me as we're driving and she's, no, you're left-handed. How can you not know which way is left? So I was thinking about that, and I have just recently started to try and learn to drum. I'll get, talk to me in 5 years and see if I'm any better. I've always had an abysmal sense of rhythm, so I thought, well, I'll just try and improve it that way. And so that's all about left, right. So I was thinking about that. I was thinking about the fact that I don't know my left from right half the time. And so I'm going to do a little text-based piece. Are you surprised? So don't feel obliged that you need to do text pieces. That's just my go-to. My go-to thing. So let Kim know, and she'll let me know in the chat what sort of, if you're working with the theme, what your ideas are. What are you playing with collage-wise? Meanwhile, I'm going to switch the camera overhead and get busy. So if you get seasick easily, look away, because I'm going to need to swing it up there and then get it set up. So one moment. Still spinning. I think it's this. It's this.
Well, it'll be all right once you just aren't touching it anymore.
You think?
Yeah.
I'm sure you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Rebecca says hi.
Hello, Rebecca.
And Jane says hi. Cherie says, hey guys, so looking forward to the 29th. And I have said in the chat, so are we. Like, we're glad, and so are we, because changing up the routine to a live in-person event is like a whole new thing for us.
Yeah.
So I think it would be really fun. I don't have I can put the address in the chat, but I have mentioned in the chat that it is on Queen Street West in Toronto.
At Gladstone.
Sort of the western part of downtown Toronto. So very near the Curry's Art Supplies store, just in case you want to do an errand like that before or after, you know. It's
pretend
handy.
You're like a normal human being pre-COVID and go to an art store and then out to lunch and then to an event. You know, fingers crossed. I anytime I make any kind of arrangements in these now hopefully continuing to transition times, I'm aware that, you know, like things could change.
Things can change.
So obviously, if things change, they change, right? But I'm cautiously optimistic, as so many.
Yes,
I think it's the way I'd put it.
Jane says, oh darn, I'll be on a plane flying back from New York. Will consider changing my flight? Question mark. That devotion, right?
I tell you, that's a little more than I would expect, Jane. I think New York trumps Virtual Collage Jam any day. So, but
you know, if it works out, okay, then awesome. We'd love to see you. Rena says, so nice to be able to pop in and say hello with a big heart.
I'm just giving us a little more light on the subject.
And we're so glad you're able to to pop in, Rena.
It's nice to have you along, Rena. That's great.
Yeah, I infer that she's not able to stay, but
yes, that's often the way when one puts it that way. That is, but
got busy Monday, perhaps. And we've got more. We've got Ricky here.
Hey, Ricky.
And Gerda's here.
Yay, Gerda. Gerda, are you on the chat? Really?
Yeah,
that's
she
great.
is.
Woohoo!
So fully functional.
I
That's
tell
great.
you, we got the. It's a whole bunch of great stuff going on right now. That's wonderful.
So she writes, ho ho, I started djembe drumming about 15 years ago and have half a dozen drums. Wow. But haven't used them recently. It did help the left-right balance, although I can't use the left for drawing. Yeah.
Well, no, that's a pretty, like, if you can make it hit something when you want it to, that's
great.
a major start compared, but drawing is like a whole nother order.
Well, and that's why I ask people to draw with their left hands on a regular basis, because of what it does to their drawing. But yeah, it's not, if it's not your dominant hand, then it's not your most controlled, skillful
No, exactly.
hand. Ricky writes, did I see Kal hold up Bloodstones? My favorite shoots. Did you hold up your Bloodstones? I didn't see that.
That's my I can't speak. Good thing I'm doing the live stream.
Two of us.
Good thing I'm doing a live stream, everyone. Yes, I used my Bloodstones for the left and right theme.
Right. I had my head down looking at the chat, so I didn't realize. Yeah, we love our Bloodstones too, Ricky. We were surprised how right out of the gate, and we're not sponsored by Bloodstones, just in case anybody's concerned. When they were new, we were able to stand in and walk in them for extended periods of time, which was kind of shocking, you know?
Yeah, I have been a long time sneaker-aholic, and you know, one should have footwear that is adult for going to like openings and so on. So we both bought Bloodstones at the same time a few years ago, and same thing. It's like, this has no padding,
and yet
I can stand in them for
hours,
like, teaching all day, you know, which was remarkable to me. So,
although our standing teaching stamina is really bad
now I couldn't stand for 30 minutes because I'm so so I'm thinking of this idea that's quadrants, and I was thinking about my left is my right hand.
You're dominant,
and my politics are left. Right? So right is wrong and left is right. So there you go. That's
well, and Kal loves nothing more than some wordplay. So, you know, this is
anyone who knows me knows to you can groan at the puns, or expect the wordplay. Or
it's taken my mother quite a few years to adapt, but she really has now.
Well, she still misses it a lot, but she does.
Yeah, but she catches on a lot more than she used to.
No, most people just give me a straight, like, what are you talking about?
Yeah,
look, and
grown,
which is fair enough.
Oh, Susan Abbott's here.
Yay! Hello, Susan.
So glad you could make it, Susan.
So what are you guys playing with in terms of left, right, if you are? Do you have I was thinking I didn't go this way this time because I had a different idea come to me, but you know those old-fashioned diagrams for dance steps with the little silhouettes of the feet and the dotted lines? I was thinking, those would be great for this theme, you know?
You could subvert it and put 2 left feet in all of the diagrams.
That would be me dancing, right, Kim?
No, that's just you.
In general. It's all right. I'm not gonna. You know, I understand. You can say it, Kim. That's just you in general, Kal. That's right, Kim.
Just so you know, your head blocks out what you're doing when you lean forward. So I'm going to recommend you put this to one side and just move all this up.
Right. I could do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because there's room, like these could move up this way too.
See, I'm just going to What a nose. I'm telling you. Okay. So, so there must be a better way to do this overhead thing. I don't.
Just having the pad further this way.
Yeah, I know, but then I have to lean over, and then I'm going to be in the way. So anyway,
Well,
I'll figure it out. I'll
No,
get there.
Just
I'll just lean back a bit.
I just recommend that you have it a little further forward and you lean over no more than you
Then I
already
need
did.
to. Yes. Yeah.
Gerda says yes, but then we can count the hairs on his head.
Yeah.
Thanks, Gerda.
yeah.
That will be excellent motivation for him to keep his head back.
Yes, exactly. I was saying to Kim that yeah, you don't even have to count very high anymore.
No.
So
He used to have such thick hair too. It's amazing. Mind you, I used to have such thick hair. Fortunately, I'm not actually balding, but
I'm gonna start wearing those kerchiefs. I think that's my plan. Because yeah,
you used to wear a kerchief in the 90s.
Yeah,
remember?
I did actually. Yeah,
quite often.
Well, I think it's time again.
Yeah.
All right. So
for your pirate look.
Yeah, there was I think he passed away actually from quite possibly from drug use, but there was a really great cyclist in the late 90s named Marco Pantani, and he was either bald by choice or by early balding.
Yeah.
And so he always wore a kerchief.
Right.
And his nickname was Il Pirate.
i.e. Italian for pirate.
Yes.
The pirate.
And for anyone who's Italian, yes, I'm sorry. Because I'm sure that was about as good as my French. So
No, you're better at French.
Well, I had years of butchering it at school, so
that's right.
Yeah. So
Cherie writes, I explored the directional aspect of left-right as I can't read a map to save my soul. I am addicted to Waze. Oh, that's an app, presumably.
Yeah, that's not something I am familiar with at all. I
also played with the left and right hemispheres of the brain. Oh, that's a fun. Yeah. That's probably what I would have done, Cherie, just because I seem to be fond of human organs. So
great minds think along the same sides.
Yeah.
Or something.
Occupy the same hemispheres.
Exactly.
Oh, I do love a nice polka dot.
You do.
I have to admit.
I'm not sure what my exact components are going to be, but I figure a 4 words, 4 quadrants. I'll put 4 pieces of different kinds of background down, and then do the letters in something that makes sense on that background,
right?
Or maybe even
something that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I was going to say even better if it doesn't make sense. That something can sometimes be better. Yeah.
I don't know. Do you have any fluorescent paper? That would be fun. You were doing fluorescence recently. With your class?
Yeah. I'm not sure that I do have papers.
We used to have fluorescent papers, remember?
Oh, yeah.
An Astro Brights kind of thing.
Yeah.
By the way, everybody, I expect that in the first half of 2022, Virtual Studio Party will also be a live in-person event.
Somewhere,
possibly
somehow.
At the Gladstone.
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
But possibly somewhere else. Just depending.
So is there anything from the chat that you need to pass along, Miss Kim?
No, I think they must many people must have their heads down.
Yeah, well, that's great.
You know, the way we found out that the microphone was not working today. It may be that we need to replace the cable, but in any event, we found out because I thought, oh, I'll just make a simple short video doing something for posting and sharing. And
that's what you thought anyway, right?
Well, so many things begin with that kind of beginning, that kind of start.
Oh,
That I'll
yeah,
just dot dot dot,
yeah.
and it seems like a very achievable, very manageable thing, and then you discover that so many aspects of it seem to conspire against you to get in the way. It's so funny because I remember, I don't know, maybe 3 years ago, a friend of ours commenting on there's we were talking about an artist who regularly makes videos, and she said, oh, yeah, I alluded to being impressed with his videos, and that it's a lot of work producing videos, and she was like, oh no, those aren't much. He's just in his studio, he's just standing in front talking. That would be easy. And I'm thinking, well, I said, it's not nearly as easy as it looks. The easier it looks, the more work went into it. So the lighting, the sound, the content, he practiced saying what he was saying, the editing,
putting together multiple
required.
takes, exactly, and making sure that
Yeah,
so.
it's even if he's able to do it in one complete, what he posts is one complete go. You can bet there were false starts and planning, lots of planning.
Yeah, exactly.
Plus he's got his tech setup dialed in, but things can go wrong, like they did for me today with the microphone, and therefore by extension for Cal for this. So anyway, so much for my little easy video that I was going to share on social media and YouTube until we get a better mic situation. And now in the chat, Ricky asked, does that mean I will have to move to Toronto? Oh, so just in case you weren't here at the time we were talking about it, Ricky, the Virtual Collage Jam and the Virtual Studio Party will also be live streaming from those live events.
Yes.
Because there's a limited number of people who can come to the live event anyway. So we'll have to set up a registration system for coming to make sure we don't end up with too many people.
And we'll have to figure out how to do that and so on. So
oh yeah,
which is fine.
It'll probably be on Eventbrite, just for those of you who want to know now.
News to me.
Yes, I'm the tech person here, so that's why I'm mentioning it.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So so no worries, Ricky. We'll still be on YouTube for you to access live.
It'll be just like tuning into something live on TV. But you'll be able to chat too. Exactly.
Yeah.
Which is more better.
Philippa's here.
Hey, Philippa. Welcome along. That's great.
She says, hi, Kim and Cal. I just came back from a rather cold walk. Oh, is it cold today?
Yeah, it's like 5 degrees when I
wow.
Left, so,
glad to be inside where it's warm. I'm going to prep a piece of cardboard with gesso. Don't really know what for yet. Well, that sounds like a good way to start.
Exactly. You don't need to know, right? You can just start thinking about it as you work on the simple stuff, right? I think
preparation
is such it's physical a lot of the time, but it's also mental and whatever you need, right?
Very much
getting in that headspace, gently and quietly, or sort of easing in, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Well, because one of the things you need to do is shed your day-to-day headspace.
Yeah.
The part of your head that looks at the tasks that need doing, that's more linear and so on. Philippa says it was a cold wind, and I do see that it's very breezy looking outside. Oh, you're going with a torn edge, a couple of torn edges and some cut edges. That's nice.
I want to have a range of, I just realized I should probably face the microphone at least a little bit. I want to have a range of, I mean, these are 2 polka dots, but of color and value between the quadrants. And I'm going to look for, I've got a couple of relatively darker, middler. And then I'd like something sort of photographic. So I'm going to flip through magazines for something that is gently atmospheric, or even not gently, but somewhat. Like that would be good. Maybe, well, I'm going to cut that out just in case, because, having a clip of some of our make it interesting more and not be too distracting. So we'll see. Yeah. So just see what comes.
The hunt for source material. That's always a big part of.
It's kind of fun right there.
It.
Something that I just love about collaging with books and magazines is the hunt. And there's, if you're like hyper specific about what you're looking for, you'll just drive yourself crazy. But if you're open to seeing something as like, oh, that isn't what I was thinking of, but that could work. That's a sort of way of being creative as well, as right. It's like seeing, oh, that could work. That isn't what I was envisioning.
Ooh, what an outfit.
Yeah.
Wow.
These
are sculptural.
Yeah. Look at these
crazy
outfits.
I love that red.
Yeah.
Naturally.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty great, isn't it? No, it's like, this is a great shoot, actually.
Yeah. Wow. Very unusual, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why it really struck me. Sorry for that little fashion interlude, everybody.
No, it's good.
Oh dear.
So I'm gonna cut some things, and another thing I love about collage is that you can try it before you commit. So
yeah.
More of that angle. Except I'll lose too much. So okay, not a big angle change.
I like that about digital collage too.
Oh yeah, I've been doing more digital collage on my poetry book
projects.
Yeah, exactly. And that, I have to say, the ability to change things and edit them just the way you want is,
it appeals to your control freak nature.
It does. And conventional collage is actually good for my control freak nature. So
yeah, good antidote.
Yeah.
Philippa says, that's what I love about collage. Yeah. Try it before you buy it.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I promised Cal I would try not to bounce my knees too much today, because they just love to bounce, and today's a bad day for that. Well, so I've just had to stop myself.
Well, don't angst unduly, Kim.
Well, for the sake of everybody attending, so the camera's not shaking. So if you ever see the camera just sort of shaking gently,
Kim's in.
My knees are
doing
gone out of control.
Yeah, her knees are just doing what they do. Cherie
writes, Carol from Campbellville is watching the stream eating leftover mini Tootsie Rolls from Halloween with her right hand. She wants to know if that counts as her left right.
Of course it does.
It sounds perfect.
It sounds bang on.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of fun.
Gerda asks what software I guess we use for digital collage, and I use Photoshop.
Yeah, and I'm using like all three in different ways at different times.
All three what?
Of all three of the major programs of Adobe Creative Suite Cloud.
All three that we used as designers. So InDesign, Illustrator, and Photoshop, depending, because they have different strengths, obviously, and different ways of working. And so
And I actually think that I could probably do it all in Photoshop if I had Kim's degree of Photoshop skills. I'm building my Photoshop skills aren't where Kim's are, but I think if they're improving. So
Photoshop is what we're focused on in my traditional art class course. But I know Cherie here uses lower tech software than that. So Cherie, when you get a moment, if you wouldn't mind chiming in with what you use. But no, I love the vast array of possibilities with Photoshop.
I think we're kind of spoiled because it's hard won skills. But we really appreciate all the flexibility that hyper professional tools give us.
Yeah.
But I know I've heard lots of really good things about Procreate, is it?
Yeah, so that is the one other program I've done a little bit of work in that way on my iPad is Procreate, which I intend to explore further because I do think it does a remarkable amount for a mobile app, and very versatile. And I know there are lots of professional illustrators who use Procreate now. Ricky asks, can you say something about Lightroom? Many people here much prefer Lightroom to Photoshop. So yeah, they're really different programs, Ricky. Lightroom is primarily focused on making adjustments to photographs and is exceptionally good at batch processing photographs. So it's far less capable than Photoshop at a certain. Photoshop as an art tool is vastly more capable than Lightroom, but lots of photographers will just use Lightroom because that works for their photography workflow. So Lightroom, there's all kinds of great things in Lightroom. You can use presets. If you have a whole photo shoot you did in one day in Jamaica or at a wedding or whatever, you can batch process them all to get them relatively easily up to a certain standard of consistency and so on, and adjusting for exposure and so on. And there are lots of controls, don't get me wrong, lots of controls for adjusting the photographs. But as an art making tool, which is a much vaster range of possibilities, creatively speaking, than photography, Photoshop there's no parallel to it. So, I know one of my traditional students last term said her photographer friends have been saying, well, why are you learning Photoshop? Lightroom's so much easier. And I said, yeah, it's easier, but you can't do this stuff that I'm teaching you.
And a lot of photographers, there is probably a minority of photographers who are doing lots of post-production and adding.
They're stuff. All doing lots of post-production.
Oh, sorry.
But a minority of photographers are doing really extended art approaches to their photography, as opposed to photography approaches. I know that sounds maybe a bit picky, but it's actually quite different. So there's a lot of, for example, photo-based art that I do that if you look at it, you wouldn't necessarily realize it was photo-based. So so Rebecca says, I use Procreate, but more for drawing where I want to do layers. Procreate is awesome for drawing. Drawing and painting is certainly something it can do. And it does work with layers, which is fantastic. I think that's one of the reasons why I like Procreate and want to investigate it more, because it has the layers functions.
From some of the demos I guess I've seen, as you were investigating Procreate, and I know you've probably watched a million more than I've seen, but it looks like it's very intuitive, right?
Well, yeah.
Well, more
because
so than
it has a range of options and settings that mean that you can get a lot of differences, and that's the key, right? Like, how creative can you get with it? You can get really creative with Procreate, but because it is a more limited program, it's a mobile app, a sophisticated one, but mobile. It also means that the learning curve is less steep than Photoshop. So yeah, anybody who's been following what's been going on in our lives this past 12 to 14 months knows that it's been a train wreck of a 12 to 14 months in terms of our family life and personal life. But when that stops being quite such an emergency, I will get up to speed and Procreate and probably start teaching Procreate content as well. Cherie
stay
writes,
tuned, everybody.
Yeah, Cherie writes she uses her Pages program on her MacBook Air. She then exports the image as a PDF and exports that again as a JPEG.
Wow.
And then shared that image to Procreate to use the effects available. I'm not a purist. Yeah, no, and there's no reason to be a quote unquote purist. You use, just like Kal uses all three of those programs in the Creative Cloud, you use the programs that give you what you need, that you know how to use. Knowing how to use to some extent is really helpful, right? But it's also true that you can learn just about any specific task if you ask the right search question.
Yes.
in YouTube or Google. So
that is so true. Like asking
something specific. Like today I asked some specific questions regarding the microphone situation we were having. And was therefore able to make sure I had all my bases covered in terms of troubleshooting, which I did. So Jane writes, can you use Procreate on a laptop or just iPad or iPhone? It's an iPad app, Jane. It's too powerful for an iPhone. And it is specifically even though a laptop is technically mobile in that you can pick it up and carry it, mobile devices are things like tablets and phones. So it's a mobile app. Rebecca says that she's even used Word, Publisher, PowerPoint, Paint, etc. for various art tasks. Yes, and you can do that, bearing in mind that people who are not very comfortable or at home with tech can end up completely stuck by using something like PowerPoint, for example, and trying to bring it into something else to work with. So definitely try things out, but don't make an opus in something that you need to move into another program to work with.
Unless
if you're not
you know
familiar.
that you can. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like if you're like, oh, I know I can do it in this program and I want to do that, but I need to take it to here.
Yeah.
Do like a quick thing, like throw a couple of things on a page, save it, and then do like, oh, can I export it and then open it in that other program?
Is this a good export format
or whatever? And then like, okay, yeah, that works.
Yeah. Then
you
can go for it.
Yeah. But then there will be a lot fewer tears later.
Yeah.
And so many programs have different ways of, like, sometimes you can just open a native file in another program, but you usually have to export it. But sometimes it's a save as.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's
export as.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You have to do a little ferreting around to find where and how.
Lisa Kemp is here.
Yay! Hey, Lisa.
Hi, Lisa. She says that she uses Procreate to create digital collages. She really likes the layers and effects. And she's also learning Affinity Photo. Yes, and Affinity Photo is a good alternative to Photoshop. I've just looked at it cursorily, but I have it on good authority from a professional photographer friend of mine who when I questioned him about it, said people who are used to Photoshop, for example, can switch over to Affinity Photo quite easily, and it's very, very capable. So it would have more capability than Procreate. Procreate might be more intuitive for drawing and so on, but Affinity Photo will have more of the powerful functions of Photoshop. So, wow, what a techie conversation for Virtual Collage Jam.
Yeah.
Right? Wow, that's an interesting photo shoot, isn't it? Beautiful colors.
I stole something from this.
Move it more into the camera range.
Yeah, sorry, guys.
Just so that everyone can see, because
I used one of these silhouettes for one of my collages.
I just love the color therapy.
The color is great. The scale is great. And so, and in fact, this is a good opportunity to talk about something. Is oftentimes if I want to use, say, her, but I don't want it to be her, if you know what I mean, I'll go looking for silhouettes that are really good, and I will cut the page out of the magazine and lay it over top of another piece of imagery or color or pattern and just cut through the two of them to get a silhouette.
Yeah.
And you have to sort of have an idea from looking at something like, oh, will that silhouette read well as a silhouette? But it's a way to sort of use some of it without using it verbatim.
Yeah.
And you can also do it for the same kind. You could cut her out and use her for a silhouette, but then put like one piece of clothing back in, or just the sunglasses back in, or something, so that you have this. You take some of what you liked about it, but without rather just like taking it entirely.
Yeah.
So
that's actually a wonderful way of making sure you're getting creative with the imagery. Is saying, you know, okay, this, but not just this.
Yeah.
Ooh, nice type.
I know.
That's a really good issue.
Yeah. Especially, Harper's is, I mean, look, it's just like full of great stuff.
Yeah.
All right.
Wow.
I'm just going to
Okay, sorry, everybody.
Yeah.
We're magazine geeks from way back, because we used to art direct magazines.
So, and I have just decided that is, that's going to be put aside. just because A, it's too distracting, and because it's so great, so beautiful. And so I'm going to go use it as artist and designer refilling the well, flipping through it for inspiration. And so as such, I don't want to cut it up yet.
Yeah.
So I'm going to find a
not yet
exactly. I'm sure it will get cut up eventually, but
maybe I'm sorry if my attention seems very squirrely today, but that did seem like an exceptional issue.
It does. In
terms of its inspiration.
And you you're saying that allowed me to notice, tune into that. So that was very helpful. So thank you.
Ooh, nice color, right?
So this is nice color without being as exquisite design and so on. So I'll use it from this magazine instead.
So Cherie adds, I'm combining digital and analog collage. If you can't find it, create it. Exactly, Cherie. Yeah. That's my tradigital world. Combining traditional and digital. I love it. Susan Abbott says the design in that magazine is incredible. Clearly. It's not one that we subscribe to or anything, but fortunately we get all these lovely donations for Kal's collage bin. And
I'm curious how recent that is.
Looks pretty recent.
2019.
Fall 2019, so 2 years ago.
So, you know, that is so good that I might consider, like, fashion magazines shouldn't be as expensive as specialty interest magazines. So maybe we should subscribe to Harper's, because Yeah, Harper's Bazaar for that reason.
Yeah. I remember back in the 90s, it was Elle magazine that I loved best.
Elle magazine had great
art
layout,
direction,
great
design.
fashion, great, yeah. More fun.
Yeah.
I think.
I guess the 80s too, actually. Yeah. Well, I think it was it skewed a little younger than Harper's Bazaar or Vogue at that time.
Vogue was
I
sort
don't
of the
know
stodgiest one,
Yeah.
I think. Well, I can't speak to now because I'm out of touch.
Well, I think probably if you just rifle through your collage bin, you'll
exactly
find issues you can
make base. Well, that Harper's is definitely an indicator that that's pretty great.
It's fun that they laid it out circular.
Yeah, that is fun. So that's there's the horoscope page, and while the type around the outside is it's all oriented to make it legible, like even it's clever.
Yeah,
clever. When the when the Collage Jam goes design, we're having like a magazine and techno geek out session on the analog Collage Jam. It's pretty funny.
Yeah. We don't know what to expect on any given.
No,
it's different every time what we talk about. Cherie writes, I'm working on a piece for Visual Arts Mississauga for a juried exhibition, responding to why do you create? I am inspired by the theme and the jurors. Oh, they have some good jurors, do they? It's always great when they have exciting jurors. Actually, I'm supposed to be jurying something for them.
Check your calendar, Kim. Oh no, I'm supposed to be there now.
Well, I don't know what the show is, but I think it's in December that I'm jurying.
Was it a members show?
I couldn't say. Annis, who's the executive director there, approached me about I'll be co-jurying with her, and which was reason enough to say yes. Although I am, of course, getting paid for it. But geez, I'm gonna have to. I thought I put it in the calendar. I'm just not seeing it. Yeah. She's going to call me on the phone in 5 minutes and say, where are you? Why aren't you here jurying? Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I seem to recall it was going to be an online jurying. So yes. at least if you forget it and she calls, you can start.
Well, and I think actually we're going to do part of it. Yeah. No, we're going to do all of it. Are we going to do all of it online? Anyway, doesn't matter. Oh, it is me. That's so funny, Cherie. Oh my God. So just in case anybody needed confirmation of my my conforming to the absent-minded professor stereotype, that is definitely me. Yes.
Cherie thought she was being so clever saying this thing about the juror.
She had no idea that I was as forgetful as I am, but it must have been pretty funny watching the light dawn on me that, oh, I'm jurying.
Over the course of like 5 minutes. It's great. I love it. What are you gonna do, eh?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, see, I didn't even know the theme of the show, Cherie. I would have been informed and so on, but yeah, once I got the booking, I just kind of put it out of my head, right out of my head, apparently. So, Françoise is here.
Yay!
Hi.
Hey, Françoise. I'm gonna get better at my lateral wave.
She writes, right and left brain, right and left in politics. Can I put these together in a collage?
Of course you
Make a
can.
donkey into an elephant or the other way around? Oh, sounds like a great starting point, Francoise. Doesn't that count?
It does.
Yeah. Cherie says, I thought you were being so modest. The ultimate modesty is having no clue.
Think again, Cherie.
Oh my God.
It is to laugh.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, I seem to have been laughing a lot this virtual collage jam.
Well, that's a good thing, isn't it?
It must be a good sign.
Yeah.
I mean, I hope it is. Well, no, people will have no trouble hearing it. I'm aware of that.
That's for sure.
Despite our mic issues. Oh, that's fun.
What's that, Kim?
The letter that you cut out and put on the polka dot there. For a moment, I thought it was cut out of the polka dot, and you were revealing what was below, but it's actually applied.
One of the great things I love about magazines is that's what I cut.
Yeah. But
and I always, even if sometimes I'll even look to see what's on the other side, but it's always worth a flip just in case it's.
Yeah. Nothing beats actually seeing.
Yeah.
And trying.
Exactly. And I can't tell you how many times I cut something out of a magazine with intention and the chance of the other side is better than my intention.
Yeah.
It's humbling, but it's also affirming somehow.
Yeah.
It's both. And I love it. I love that.
I think my favorite kind of art making is the kind that gives you gifts. If you're open to their possibility, like that.
And I think you sort of have to train yourself to be open.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
Because I know, like, certainly as a young designer and a young artist.
Oh, yeah.
Really not at all. And it just made life so much harder.
And things less good than they could have been.
Less good than they could have been. Because you have so much invested in, I should be able to do this, or I'm asserting my taste, or
I should be able to control this.
Yeah.
It's a real anxiety related thing.
Yeah, for sure.
The whole idea of controlling everything. Yeah. So practicing art is so full of life lessons, and that's one of the key ones.
And I think control has its place, and better, because have you seen my art? But I do try and build in that some of that chance as well.
Yeah, I mean, you get pretty wacky with some of those edges, I'm just teasing.
And doing such a good job of it.
Yeah. Because I know where your goat is parked. I can get to it.
You can.
That's another beautiful photograph you cut the R out of, eh?
Yeah. No shortage of those.
No. What fun. That's part of the fun of collage too, right?
Oh, totally.
Just having all these whether it's beautiful papers or wonderful images in magazines or whatever. It could be beautiful old book papers, pages, whatever it is. Yeah, like Elaine Windsor, who's here sometimes. Wasn't she working with maps recently?
Yes.
And maps can be so fascinating and beautiful in their own way.
And there's another great thing about collage, right? Is if you are drawn, and who isn't as a visually oriented person, to certain kinds of visual material,
Exactly.
collage is a great way to harness what you like about it and yet express yourself by
Through it.
manipulating it
Yeah.
and through it. Exactly.
Yeah, transforming it.
Yeah, exact. Transforming is a better word, like that.
Well, one or two people here may know that I'm obsessed with antique anatomical art.
What, really?
So I'm certainly a big proponent of that idea, finding what rocks your boat and transforming it. Cherie writes, "What's that saying? Life is what happens when you're busy making other plans.
Exactly.
Perhaps art is created the same way."
Absolutely.
Deep thoughts.
Yep.
Excellent deep thoughts, Cherie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just take life out and put in art, because art and life, for so many of us, are inextricably entwined.
Yeah.
And
Well, it's a practice that teaches us about life.
Yeah.
I believe that at the deepest levels. Someday maybe I'll write a book about that. I got about 12 books waiting to be written.
There are worse things.
And you can see my attention span isn't good for that. So what I need to do is dictate into 12 different folders of each related to a different book. Gerda writes, "I am often a beginner. Trying something new for the first time leaves the possibility of surprise and pleasure. If it doesn't work, I also learn." Oh, see that there are some really deeply meaningful experiences and truths right there. You know, that iconic book, Zen Mind, Beginner Mind. You know, that achieving beginner mind is hugely important to us as humans. And mastery is also good, but mastery without the trying the new things. And mastery can also mean that you stop looking at what you're doing with fresh eyes. So sometimes taking on the new thing where you are a genuine beginner or close to it, and then going back to the thing that you have more mastery in, allows you to see that thing, that latter thing, with fresh eyes.
Yeah.
And therefore get more out of it.
Yeah. Bringing fresh eyes from somewhere where you actually have fresh eyes to where you haven't had them until. Yeah.
It's so important. Otherwise, you can get into ruts.
Yeah.
And the ruts will mean that you're shrinking instead of growing.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Ricky writes, "Wow. I am literally holding my breath as Kal cuts that circle." Let's see. Yeah, he's remarkable when he does that, isn't he? She writes, "I would have cut my finger 1,000 times." Yeah, Kal is so expert at cutting out quite precisely. I mean, Ricky, I don't know if you've been to his website, but he had a big 180 something piece installation called General
Classification.
I was going to say category, and I knew that wasn't right. About the Tour de France. And for each of the 180 plus panels, he hand cut every single stencil for the whole design for each panel, and very detailed, very precise. Some of the things were very miniature, and he's extraordinarily gifted at the fine motor control.
And that said, I'm sort of moving past it now. First of all, my eyes aren't up to it anymore, but it's still in there. Like I still rely on it a fair bit, but I don't do it as much as I used to.
So I know you're mostly getting his head at the moment, but
Oh, sorry, guys.
you
Yes.
will,
Yeah.
you will get to see it soon.
It's because I need to look over enough to be able to see what I'm doing here. Sorry.
Yeah, I know, because you're cutting precisely. It's harder. Would one of the new laser cutter devices make that kind of thing easier? Susan Abbott writes. Yes. You don't even need a laser cutter. You know, there are things called Cricut and Silhouette machines that you can get at Michael's, and they have software where you can create designs, or you can import designs you've made in other programs, and it uses actual blades to cut it. But the fact that Cal's stencils, and in this case the letters for the collage, are hand cut, people won't even realize they are, because he's done them so well. And so in the label information, if they were ever exhibited, it would say hand cut in order to point it out, because as soon as we realize it's hand cut, we attach all that labor and skill to it. But aside from that, I'm a big fan of all these new machines, the laser cutters, the Cricuts, the Silhouettes, and Susan, they are costly. So if you're not using them a lot, then it's probably not worth getting it, unless, of course, you have ample disposable
resources,
funds, and studio space. But I know, for example, in Brampton, the public library system has Cricut machines as part of their makerspace equipment. So check your local public library system. I think most of them now have what they call makerspace facilities, and see what they offer, because they'll have a variety of things. You know, some of them might have machines that allow you to create embroidered patches, or they might have a button maker, or a vinyl cutter. Well, that's what a Cricut does. So yeah, so you don't have to invest in your own necessarily. And very often they will have, the libraries will offer, there are also cooperative maker spaces, so you can look into that in wherever you're located. For example, Fleming College in Halliburton has a maker studio that has a bunch of different pieces of equipment, like 3D printing. That's another thing that you'll often get at maker spaces. But investigate that, and they will usually have an introduction course or class or workshop on, you know, how do these things work, how do you go about it. During lockdown, there was a period where, when it wasn't in the most severe form of lockdown, but they still didn't have the branch open to the public for going inside, you could actually submit files for the staff at the library to, you know, run on the Cricut or the 3D printer or whatever, and then pick it up. So yeah, it's great, eh? I think it's fantastic, because libraries really are about resources, making resources public, and makerspace is a really natural. I know Burlington, the city of Burlington, they have a substantial makerspace in their public library system. Mississauga does too. There's no way Toronto doesn't. So I can't address any other municipalities, but I'm sure most now do, because libraries have been very good about modernizing their systems. Ricky writes, I just looked at general classification. Amazing and intimidating. Yeah. Well, don't take on doing the same project, Ricky. Let Cal do that for you.
Yeah. it was I won't do it again, but it was
a great thing for you to do.
it was great because I was very interested in at the time with competitive cycling, and you know, so many times we go into our studio and like, okay, what am I going to be working on? I didn't have to ask myself that question for like 3.5 years,
yeah,
because I knew.
he always had to work on
And so
that.
I'd have like podcasts or something on to listen to or watch out of the corner of my eye, and I was cutting stencils or painting stripes or painting flags, or
It was
and
very meditative.
it
right?
was totally. It was like it was great.
I bet you missed that.
I do. I
Yeah.
really do. I love inventing stuff. I love
Yeah.
coming up with stuff, but I also really like just like knowing what's on the menu,
Yeah.
and especially if it's appealing, right? And that
Yeah.
was enduringly appealing. Like lots of times I've started lots of projects where I get very ambitious with what it's going to be about,
And then you get
and
tired.
then I get tired because it's like,
yeah.
why did I think this was a good idea? This is
Yeah.
gonna and with general classification, I think I got sick of it occasionally, but not very much, because it was team colors. I think.
Yeah. So every tile, there was something different about it.
Yeah, and there was lots that was the same, which was also fun.
And you designed a custom stencil for each one, so there was that stage of things. There were different kinds of tasks you could do depending on the day, which was nice, I think.
Yeah.
So it wasn't the same thing over and over again.
No, each one had its phases, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Like those flags, I think sometimes you saved for a robust day doing some of the more difficult flags, right?
Yeah, like there are a couple of teams that had a lot of Spanish riders, and the Spanish flag was a bear.
Yeah.
Because
you actually had to draw the what do you call it? The emblem, the medallion, whatever.
Coat of arms. It had a coat of arms in the center, so I used like
pens,
very
right?
fine liner colored pens because it was so tiny.
Yeah.
Because the flag was only like this wide, and the thing was like half an inch square.
Yeah, with all this detail in it.
Yeah.
Cherie writes, "Thanks for the library tip. That's interesting." Rebecca writes, "In Toronto, the Toronto Tool Library also has some stuff you can borrow. I'm not sure if they have cutters, but it's worth checking." Yes. Thank you, Rebecca. I'm aware of them, but I didn't think of them in the moment. So thank you for sharing that. And I think they have a wide variety of tools. So, woodworking tools, that kind of as well, things like that. So depending on your project, you don't have to buy everything. You can find resources like that.
And younger people know what a makerspace is, but lots of people, like, unless you know that's what you're looking for, or that they exist and that's what they're called, you just don't know, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But the term makerspace is a good search term if you're trying to find your local makerspace.
Yeah.
And it's a kind of contemporary form of workshop, right? That contains high-tech tools because they're driven by software, whether it's embroidery or vinyl cutting or wood burning or cutting through mylar or 3D printing or whatever. The equipment needs to be fed designs through software.
And because there's a technological aspect, a learning curve and so on, and because of the cost of the equipment, it makes sense that it's a collaborative kind of thing. But you could go to a makerspace and have like there'll be other people there who can like help you troubleshoot, like how would I best do that? And they'd say, well, actually you'd be best doing that on that machine, and then doing this here or doing this by hand, or prepare your file this way or whatever, right? So
it's good to talk to them early in your process to find things like that out. Also, some of them may have technicians specifically who are there specifically to maybe run equipment or help people with the equipment. So it all depends. something like the Toronto Tool Library might be a membership thing. So that's also something to look into. TPL, which is Toronto Public Libraries, usually has an artist in residence doing classes on how to use 3D printers, etc. There's a perfect basis for an art residency in a library. Wow, I love that. Thanks, Rebecca. A makerspace may also include things like certain kinds of printing technologies, whether silk screening or exposing screen emulsion to light in order to make screens for silk screening. They may have art quality digital printers. So it will all depend on the specific space. I always wanted to set up a digital printmaking studio.
Where, and who knows,
where people became members and
you could work on stuff, get stuff printed.
Yeah.
Basically a printing makerspace, right?
Where because
some equipment,
there are a lot of printmaking cooperatives, right? Or memberships, like Open Studio and what's the place in Hamilton?
Center 3.
Center 3, yeah. So you become a member and you have access, because printmaking is one of those things where, who can purchase a 24-inch wide press for their that weighs 4 tons for their apartment, right? So there's a good tradition of it for printmaking
and
digital printmaking. Who's got room for or money to own a big art printer, even a moderate size art printer? Like we bought a 17-inch printer probably 2 years ago now, actually, when I think
pre-COVID. So
yeah, so so add a year or two to my estimation.
Yeah, exactly.
And you need to know some stuff to run it. It needs some space. You need some money to buy it. And some money to keep running it. So yeah, it's a good thing to be able to access via a membership or something. Ooh, bit of surprise there. It's almost out in left field.
As I'm working, I may have to change my strategy, but we'll see.
Because?
Because I'm looking at the regularity, at least, of the letters. They're all the same size. I'm trying to change their color and the backgrounds on them, but I feel like it's still too regular for my liking.
Yeah.
Now, I've printed them out this size. So I think for the most part, I'm going to stick with the size, but I'm thinking about, okay, well, maybe what it means is that I may need to slip other shapes, jostle them, slip other shapes behind that animate the spaces further.
Yeah.
And that then may become too much. So we'll see. But, it's again, one of those things that you sort of figure out as you go along. Like I thought for sure,
that this would be just
four different backgrounds, and then changing what happens in each letter, but then have the letters be straight ahead, same size would be fine. I'm not sure now.
I just get out a nice big pair of scissors and cut them out by scissors.
There are some things that I'm capable of stretching to, and there are some things that I'm not. It's good to know oneself.
It is. They often say that good creative teams are based on the tensions of difference, as well as the overlaps, the commonalities. And That right there illustrates one of our key areas of difference.
But I also
Actually, I would probably use an Olfa knife, but I would freehand them.
no, exactly.
So they would be different. They
And
couldn't help but be different
and sometimes
and irregular.
like when we were doing a wow, that was a few months ago now. We did a gel plate printing session together.
Yes.
And I thought, oh, well, I like to work with letters. I'm going to do a few numbers and letters. And so I thought,
Yeah.
well,
I remember the number 3 figured
yeah,
prominently.
and I just cut it freehand because I thought I just want to play. I don't want to like go size it, print it, cut it out according to that. And so I am capable of that.
Yeah. Now I have to say, everybody, that his hand cut 3 was remarkable, as you would expect. Yeah,
but it was especially for anyone who knows typography and is a designer would look at that and say, what font is that? That's not really any font, is it? It's kind of like these fonts, but not quite. Like,
yeah, that's what was so great about it.
Yeah, exactly.
But it looked like it was a font, and that you might have printed it out because you're just so precise when you hand cut, freehand even. I'll stop going on about it, but I do find it is one of your wondrous qualities that you're able to do that. I'm working on a new song in my singing lessons, and that song just keeps running through my head over and over and over again. It's insane. Maybe it's because I'm not bouncing my knees.
That's it right there.
Oh.
Trying to get a scrap out of the yellow. Come on, there we go.
Ooh, that's a bold statement in there.
Of course. And I just had another thought, which I think is a good one. The time will come. That's stupid. I'll be back on camera in a second. You'll see my head soon.
Talk amongst yourselves. Oh, a painted magazine page. That's fun.
And of course, I flipped it over and went, oh.
Of course you did.
Eventually, I'm going to have to stop being distracted. Cal, stay focused.
Oh, I don't know. Today, it doesn't feel like we have that kind of energy, that focused energy.
Yeah, I'm not convinced I do. But.
Yeah. So when you were little, did you have coloring books?
I think my parents steered me away from it. Not like if someone gave me one,
right?
Like then.
But they wanted you to self-generate.
Yeah. I think for the most part. And you know what I really remember enjoying when I was like 12 or 13, I was really, really into medieval stuff, like King Arthur and all of that.
So did you get one of those fancy coloring books with medieval stuff?
Even better. Like I might be misremembering the name. Howard Pyle, is that?
Yes, the illustrator.
I think, was he an illustrator or a writer? Now I can't remember.
Howard Pyle, didn't he illustrate the King Arthur tales?
Maybe that's it. Yeah. Anyway, there was
I could be mistaken.
At the library, there was a book that had really great Aubrey Beardsley-esque.
Oh yeah.
Black and white illustrations of King Arthur.
Right.
And so I got my dad
to photocopy
to
them?
photocopy all those at the office.
Fabulous.
And I used like felt tip markers, and I just loved it. Was like I also did have one really large one of those. Is it called doodle art?
Yeah.
Posters.
Very complex.
Yeah,
and,
yeah,
yeah.
And I definitely loved that. And I think I think
there are definite benefits.
Absolutely.
To it,
like I think
with color is
exactly what I was going to say. Like you really develop it can be an experimental and a learning experience. Like what colors go together? What do I like? What am I drawn to?
Wouldn't it be fun to take coloring books now and work subversively in them?
Oh, totally.
I mean, that could be really interesting. So share in the chat if you played with colored coloring books, or made your own like Kal did or whatever.
Was it Andy Warhol? I think it might have been Andy Warhol who took paint by numbers,
which I so wanted,
and reassigned like, okay, 7 is not going to be their 7; it's going to be my 7.
Yeah.
And then
oh god,
and that's a great fun construct right
There's
there.
There's a workshop there.
Yeah, absolutely.
What?
Jot that down, Kim.
Yeah.
Or we'll lose it.
Yeah. I know. You got to get these pearls written down before they're lost.
That could be a really fun.
Well, the reason I asked you that question of whether you had coloring books was, I imagine you coloring very carefully within the lines.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You would have been an expressionist colorist.
I could do both.
Yeah.
But it just depended.
You couldn't have had a future in graphic design if you hadn't been able to do both.
Yeah. And I found that if you did an interior outline with wax crayon, that it made it really easy to color neatly inside it, because the wax line stopped you.
Right, resisted the
so you wouldn't skitter over the black line of the coloring book.
That's hilarious.
Trust me, right?
Yeah. No, here's another thing that characterizes the two of us. Kal is like, when contemplating something, he's like, oh, that'll take a while. Okay, that's all right. And Kim is like, oh, that'll take too much effort. What clever thing can I come up with that will make this like 10 times faster and easier? And they're both like, it's actually a strong creative trait, I think, in you.
It's my engineering dad.
Yeah, absolutely.
Inventor side. Yeah. Because honestly, saving labor is a huge inspiration and catalyst for invention, right? Oh, look at this. We've got some comments here in the chat. Rebecca writes, my grandfather used to draw these little tiny pictures of objects and then put them into an empty tissue box, and we would randomly draw one out to color. Wow.
That's so cool.
What a fun idea. I love it. Jane writes, I used to write and draw my own little books stapled together, and my parents would wake me up at night when I was a kid to come out and read and show my books to company. I was probably 7 or so.
Wow.
Jane, what a fabulous. Thank you for sharing that.
That's so great.
I love these creative things, and your parents being so supportive of your creativity. I mean, they were obviously really proud of your creativity. So that's beautiful. Wow. I feel quite touched by that. And Rebecca's grandfather's idea is so cool.
Yeah.
I like the idea of I could imagine, I wouldn't necessarily make them tiny, but I could imagine making a box full of line drawings and having them available for visiting children to color. Sadly, we don't really have visiting children at this point, so we just have one nephew out of town who has 2 adorable children, but because of COVID and the timing of their births and so on, we haven't
seen much of them.
Yeah.
And until, I mean, children are the last. I just can't speak today.
That's all right.
It's a good thing
Be
you're
patient
good thing
with
you're
yourself.
It's a good thing you're with me, I have to say. They're the last to be immunized, and they're not immunized yet, so they're the most and especially so yeah.
And one of them's in school now. Yeah. I should let you know, 5-minute warning.
Yeah, I did glimpse it just there because I thought, oh, it's been a lot of fun. It's probably going by faster than I think. So, but thank you.
Yeah, it really has been going by quickly,
hasn't it?
Rebecca writes, for my wedding, in the kids' favor bags, I included a themed coloring book I'd made for them.
Wow.
Oh, Rebecca, that's so beautiful. Along with crafts and a 2-piece puzzle for the littlest ones. Aww. Wow. I love that.
You are remarkable, Rebecca.
Yeah. I love thoughtful ideas like that. We couldn't cope with that, so we practically eloped. We didn't elope, but it was almost like eloping.
I think, as designers, I think we definitely burnt out our ability to be creative in a lot of ways. I mean, it's come back, but
yeah, we needed we needed to heal, though. Yeah. Jane asks, Cal, for tomorrow morning's class, are we supposed to send you our homework or just hold and show?
Hold and show, Jane.
There. So nice when you can just get your question answered like so easily, eh, Jane? Rebecca adds that she also custom painted each of their favor bags.
Wow.
Oh, that's wonderful, Rebecca. What a delight for them. And also just what it models for them in terms of, everything isn't pre-bought. It isn't some
exactly
branded thing. It's actually an individual's creativity. I love it. Models the DIY ethic for them.
So this week is the start of a new course that I'm teaching. And it's very, sadly, it's pretty low enrollment, but that's just the way it is sometimes. And it's basically a session with a little bit of chat about and getting input from each other on pieces that are unfinished. It's called Finish It Fridays. And so I'm thinking the enrollment is so low that, I'll give people input and feedback, but then I'll have time to work on my own stuff.
Cal will actually work on finishing his own
exactly.
stuff.
And because here I am looking at yet another collage that I haven't finished in time during Collage Jam. And the reason for that course was because I realized that I thought, well, maybe other people have the same problem that I do, which is getting stuff finished, and not because it doesn't merit finishing. Like, obviously there are things you start and then you think, yeah, no, I don't need to finish this. Or you look at it later and think, yeah, no, I don't. but then there's stuff that like, oh
Stuff
man,
that
this
really,
this I really
yeah.
was excited about this,
Yeah.
and I still am, and why isn't it done?
Yeah.
So that was the whole.
So
the
there's spaces available
there is
for
space
anyone who's
available, and
interested.
you might see me working on finishing today's collage.
Yeah.
So
Cal will obviously have some helpful ideas around finishing.
yeah,
In his
exactly.
characteristic way, right? For those of you who know him. Rebecca adds that it was fun, this what she did for these favor bags,
Right.
and showed what I was interested in. Music was an iPad playlist, but I had a tree painting I'd made with leaves that the guests signed and glued on. Lovely.
Oh, that's
what a nice
yeah.
memento of your big day.
My brother and sister-in-law used that same structure for
Memorial,
for
right?
my mother's and probably my father's too.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
People would share a memory.
Yeah, would
they?
write a memory on a leaf
Yeah.
and put it on a tree. And
I don't think I ever got to read all of those. They took it home, and
I'm sure it is somewhere where we could get a hold of it for sure. But
so.
yeah, there's something very important about having the ability to contribute.
Yeah.
Rather than, as Kim was saying, rather than just receiving pre-made.
Yeah.
However beautiful or however well thought through, being creative is not just for artists, it's for humans. It's a human thing. And I think we're all artists, and I think, we forfeit that at our peril.
Yeah.
So the next time you have an opportunity to get something off the rack or get something even somewhat personalized, go for the
Unless you're having a nervous breakdown.
Yeah, no.
In which case, cut yourself some slack.
Yes.
Not that I have any personal experience with that.
No.
Susan Abbott writes, I love the idea of your finishing course. I'm just already overcommitted.
Yes, exactly. You have other things you need to finish, right? So yeah, it may come back. It may come back.
Yeah.
In fact, I think it might. Kim and I, Kim is a member of something called Productive Flourishing, which is basically, how would you characterize that? Well, you think about that. It's an online group. But one of the things they do is they have sessions where they essentially co-working sessions. Yeah. And I thought, well, why do you need to do that? And then I took part in a couple of them, and it's amazing because you sort of check in with everyone, checks in and says, okay, this is what I've set aside this time to work on this, and this is what I'm going to do. Everyone says that, and then goes away and works. And then they come back at the end and tell us what they did. And there's something about the accountability. There's something about the fact that I'm doing it and they're doing it. It's kind of like being in the same room, even though you're not. That gives you this energy and this focus that you can't make yourself when you just go to your room to work.
Yeah, it works for introverts. It works for extroverts.
It doesn't. And having done that, I thought, oh, this would be great for art, right?
Yes, exactly. Ricky asks, she says, I'm a bit confused. What word will you put in the upper right quadrant? So she might have missed the very beginning of the video.
So I was at the very beginning, I was talking about the fact that we got a little focus issue.
Yeah.
We were having that before. Sorry.
Yeah, because when your head moves in, it changes.
Oh, right, and messes it up. So I was talking about the fact that I'm left-right challenged, so I never know which is right. And I'm left-handed, so my left is my right hand, as it were.
And it's because you think of it that way that you get confused. And just your left is your left hand.
Yes. My left is my good hand.
Yeah.
And that's what I normally say is my dominant hand. Yeah. But in this context, it is my right hand. So it's going to say left, right, wrong.
Because left is right and right is wrong. Because it also has
political.
For you,
for me,
political
and
aspect.
And just for my dominant
So the lower left,
So there are gonna be
therefore,
two
is
rights.
answered,
Yeah.
Ricky. We'll say right as well. So
Yeah.
the two missing words are rights.
Our rights. Yeah. By rights, I should put them in there.
Lisa Camp writes that she was interested in the course as well, but the day time doesn't work for
Sure,
you.
yeah.
For her. Lisa, would you mind sharing either in the chat here or if you wanted to email instead what day or time of day would work better for you? Not for this one, obviously, but just it helps us think in terms of when to schedule and time our offerings if we know what works for people, right? So that would be much appreciated. Francois, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say I chose Friday because A, it worked with my schedule.
Yeah.
But B, it also works with, I just think kind of made sense, like the
finishing
end of
the week.
Yeah,
finishing
yeah,
the
exactly.
work.
Finishing. Yeah, exactly.
There we go.
There's a mantra
That
right
could
there.
have it could have been the subtitle for
That's
the
right.
course.
Finish the week, finish the work.
Yeah.
She's good.
Francoise writes, you are more committed. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Gerda writes, I joined a writing group started in Britain that does the same. After an introduction, we all went off to do our writing and then we reported back. Yeah, it's a model that just works, doesn't it, Gerda? Because it is it's leveraging some just basic aspects of human nature. Ricky writes, understanding what's going in those quadrants.
What's the left and rights of things going on? Yeah.
And thank you, Lisa. She'll send an email.
Yeah, perfect.
With that info.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, it'll really help in terms of future planning, just if anybody wants to offer that, by the way, when your best days and times of day are for taking on something. It's something we can bear in mind when planning.
And you know what else, guys? If there is something that you would like Kim or I to teach, just send us an email, because
we're always interested.
We're creative people, so we like to come up with ideas, but we also like when I have to come up with new courses for every term, right? And sometimes I have an idea or a few ideas, and sometimes it's like, what now? What can I do?
Like,
now?
Oh my God!
And obviously, you can't. There are certain things that I'm just not good at,
of course.
But and no teacher is good at everything. But
if there's something you'd be interested in learning or interested in learning from one of us, either
please,
of us,
just
whatever,
fire us off an email and let us know, because that goes into the hopper for sure.
Yeah.
And it must be time or past time.
It is past time.
Yeah. So
God, this has been a really talkative,
I'll say,
collage jam. Yeah. Lisa says, I'm doing an Erica Ross's open studio sessions, which is similar. Creative people getting together online, working and discussing the work. It's been very helpful. I'm so pleased to hear that, Lisa, because that is a terrific idea.
Yeah. Thank you. It's good to hear.
Yeah, it's good to know what's happening out there, because we can't know everything that's happening. You guys being out and, looking for things to do and being tapped into different networks.
Exactly.
It's very instructive for us to
What's
hear
that
about
phrase
this.
you use, Kim? The hive mind?
Yes, the hive mind.
Yeah.
Borrowing from the Borg.
Right, yes.
In Star Trek. Yeah. So.
All right. Well, I am, as you can tell, I have a ways to go yet.
Do you want to lift that up and give people?
I do. I want to talk about just a couple of things.
Good. All right.
And then yeah, we'll sign off. And if you have to leave now, I totally get it. So just like everything, I started on started somewhere and progressed, and my thinking progressed as well. So this was when I was starting to realize working in the wrong quadrant. It's funny saying that, but I started looking for things that would contrast enough and be interesting between each other, but it didn't seem exciting enough.
Felt wrong.
It felt wrong. Perfect. Yeah, I should spell it backwards instead. Then it'd be really wrong.
Yeah.
Or misspell it. Anyway, so, and then you heard me say, oh, I think I need to play with more backgrounds and so on. And then as I moved on to the next word, I started to make some realizations like, oh, vary it more.
Yeah.
This one's a letter cut out of other letters. Adding this negative piece, which would just happen to be sitting on the desk, I thought, oh, that'd be kind of interesting to put that in. Making this piece out of 2 or 3 different kinds of pieces. And suddenly that started to work better, even though I haven't changed the background. So that's a perfect case in point of thinking happens while doing, you know? And so I can go back to here and like fit some or more, and I may still change the background somewhat, but that's how it's evolving. So I'm just going to zoom in on the left because I think that's kind of the most interesting area. And then we'll just see how the rest goes.
Yeah, we've got a little more in the chat. So
please pass that along before we wrap.
Yeah,
I'd love to hear it.
Susan writes, I was quite intrigued by a thing in the US called Crit Lab. We need something like that here. So Susan, Kal and I had discussed way back, even at the beginning,
very beginning of COVID,
doing critique sessions. And is it a critique session, like group critique? Please let us know. And that's interesting that's something that interested you.
Yeah.
And Markham Group of Artists, for example, hired us to do critiques during lockdown. Jane writes, most afternoons are good for me. In January, she'd like to do more fitness classes, and they're usually Tuesday and Thursday. So Wednesday afternoon and Friday afternoons are good.
Right. Okay. That's good to know.
Yeah. Thanks, Jane. Rena writes, it was so nice being with you. Have missed you
likewise.
guys. With a big heart.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Rena. Lovely to have you along. I'm going to just...
and Gerda, show your face again. Gerda, yes, we will send the Virtual Collage Jam group info on the session at the Gladstone. And we'll also, it will feature in the Facebook group and on social media.
Yeah.
To invite people, and there will be a limited capacity.
Yeah,
is it limited to 12?
I think it's limited to 12, and Lee has sent me a bunch of requirements from the Gladstone, and I have to think about in terms of my own requirements. I think that since we'll be working closely, that it'll need to be.
We'll need to have proof of vaccination. Yeah. So if for any reason you're not vaccinated, we still will be running the live stream.
Yeah, exactly.
So you'll still be able to access the usual YouTube, but the setting will be different.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
So
it's just sorting stuff like that out,
yeah.
and then I will send out to the Collage Jam group an email about all of that, and also post it in the Facebook group. So thank you so much, everyone, for collaging along with us. Please post your pieces in their Facebook page. Looking forward to seeing.
Can't wait to see them.
Seeing what's wrong and right about left and wrongs and rights.
And Cherie, thanks for the reminder about my gig jurying for VAM. The Why Do You Create? She got a good start on it. She thanks me for the inspiration. Françoise said she used more words than she thought she would.
Oh, interesting. Collage. Yeah. Perfect. You know me in words. I'll definitely want to see it. Yeah, can't help it.
Susan says, great session.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. No, it's been quite lively.
Very lively with
and
chat.
Like 2 seconds before we were going live, Kal was like, ah! And so thank you, everyone, for being your usual wonderful self and lifting us.
Yeah. So have a terrific week.
Yeah.
Some of you will be seeing Kal tomorrow, of course.
Yeah. And next Monday, it's Kim's virtual
studio party.
That's right. On Kim Lee Co channel.
And maybe this time I actually will get working on my mixed media altered book that I
Is
has
that what
been
you promised?
interrupted. Well, that's what I thought I'd be doing all this term, and yeah, but it requires a little bit of organization on my part that I haven't had the energy for. But
Organization, the bane of my existence.
I will attempt to remedy that for next week. So hope to see you there.
Yeah.
And take good care, everybody.
Yeah. See you next week. And thanks so much.
Let's type in here.
Yeah, Kim's just doing a little sign-off thing. Tippity tap.
Cherie writes that she bought a gel plate.
Oh.
Awesome. See you later.
See you guys.